Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, another car video, another episode of the Talking Head. Adjust the mic a little bit. Man, oh man, oh man. After a Kundalini awakening, you're going to change a lot. I've never met anyone who has gone through this form of transformation, the spiritual transformation and physical transformation from Kundalini, who hasn't had a complete turnaround in his or her psyche, and your morals do change. Things just you start to look at things. You start to look at the world and yourself and people, animal kingdom, everything, your entire experience through a different lens. And to me, that's a good thing, because you living in this culture is going to make you look through a certain lens to view reality, and that lens is not focused, it's not adjusted, and it's just unfortunate, man, that most of us will go the duration of our lives never really understanding just how miraculous this human body is and this human consciousness. Kundalini really is the catalyst for evolutionary growth of the species, and when you experience these states of consciousness and you realize what this body is capable of doing, it will force you to look at reality through a different lens, and that can be a very difficult thing for people to do. I know it was for me, because you're going from one way of viewing reality to a completely different way of viewing reality overnight. When you have a full-blown Kundalini awakening, it rewires rewires everything within your physiology and your consciousness. So it's not like a gradual change, it's an instant change if you have a full-blown Kundalini awakening. And that's what happens to most people in the West. Most people in the West seem to be having spontaneous awakenings through extreme forms of yoga and or psychedelic experiences, or combining the two. So, combining psychedelics with yoga can be a very dangerous thing, because it can stir the Kundalini into awakening, and, the dangerous aspect, of Kundalini awakenings caused by psychedelics is it can often make the individual who experienced the awakening feel insane, because he will regard the experience as a byproduct of the psychedelic. So, I know a lot of people who have had spontaneous awakenings from psychedelics, and after the psychedelic wears off, they think the whole thing was just a psychedelic experience and that there was no validity to it. So, a psychedelic Kundalini awakening, the psychedelic usually allows you to exit your normal way of thinking, your normal framework of thinking, so that you can get out of your rigid state of consciousness that is keeping the Kundalini energy from moving. So in my opinion, psychedelic Kundalini awakenings are an authentic thing. The psychedelic is just allowing you to get out of your rigid your rigid framework of thinking. But it's not a safe thing, no. Real Kundalini awakenings are where it's at, but, I think in the West, the psychedelic is responsible for a lot of Kundalini awakenings, and I think that to a large extent can be a good thing, because it kind of seems like we need something like that to force us out of our programmed state of consciousness. We're so deeply in our prison consciousness that we need some form of tool to help us get out of our prison consciousness. So, anyways, Kundalini can be a very dangerous thing. I talk about this a lot on this channel, because this channel is a Kundalini channel. It's a health channel, it's a lot of things, but the primary focus of this channel is to attempt to spread awareness and cultivate interest with Kundalini, because it is the evolutionary science of the future that always was. It's the evolutionary science of the future that has always been. It's always been this way. It's from the past, the present, and the future. So, We've been conditioned to think that we're just these kind of worker bees, these surface dwellers on the earth, that, you know, the meaning of life is to have good work ethic and to make good money and to have a family and have kids and put dinner on the table for them and food and shelter. It's just a huge cultural conditioning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that those things aren't valuable traits to strive for. No, having good work ethic is a great thing. But when your work ethic is programmed to keep you away from realizing who you really are, there's a problem there. And I just see so much judgment here in this dimension with people about work, and, you know, it's just insane. People think that literally, like, working is the meaning of life. I have views that contradict that framework of thinking, but that's just me. I want to work for enlightenment. I want to work for becoming who I am. And who we are is something completely different than this imprisoned individual. And I don't mean imprisoned like behind bars. I mean, there's a prison. We're in a prison of our consciousness. We've been really locked out of the truth. This is really a hell realm, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what type of new age spin you try to put on it. I mean, fuck. I see so many people with this law of attraction shit, and people who think spirituality is just about manifesting things and being happy. But shouldn't spirituality and shouldn't we be striving to completely heal this dimension? Because it doesn't matter how good of a life you have here in the West. It doesn't matter how many cars you have and how much money you have or how much law of attraction shit you have, these mansions and shit. There's people that don't have a fucking tent to sleep in at night. But people out here use the law of attraction for such egotistical and self-centered purposes. It's all about them. So the law of attraction has really programmed people to think that they can just desire something and it'll just drop out of the sky in front of their feet like an anvil from a fucking Looney Tunes episode, Wile E. Coyote style. Just, oh, I want this. Oh, there it is. As if it doesn't take any work to get what you're looking for. So, bizarre world that we live in. It is fucking insane out here. But it is what it is. We got to do the best with what we are presented with and what we've got. And health is the one way to go about finding sanity in this insane world, in my opinion. So, you know, I made a video a while back called Why Kundalini Can Be Dangerous, and recorded that video with my old iPhone. The audio is horrible on it, so I kind of wanted to make a new video talking about why Kundalini can be dangerous. And Kundalini is dangerous because it completely changes the way you think. It completely changes everything in your life. And if you're not ready for that, I mean, it can be a very dangerous thing to the fragile mind. It can be a very dangerous thing to the strong mind. You know? Seeing angels, seeing spirits, seeing your ancestors, feeling what your body was designed to feel, really unleashing the power of the nimbus and being able to see and sit within your chariot, your Merkaba, to be able to glimpse what this thing actually looks like. It is so beautiful. The glory of these states of consciousness can drive you insane. So most people think if they have angel visions and all this stuff and they see angels, they're just going to be granted all this peace and all this stuff. But again, we live in such a lower animal kingdom. We live in the land of the bottom feeder to such an extent that when you glimpse the glory of these different angelic hierarchies and actually see them and touch them and feel them and communicate with them, these beings are so pure that it can drive you absolutely insane to bear witness to the glory. So, you know, that may sound kind of crazy or it may sound kind of contradictive that bearing witness to angels can drive you insane, but it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Also, bearing witness to the purity of these angelic kingdoms can really drive you a little crazy and make you feel ungrounded, because it allows you to see the distance between you and the purity of these beings. These beings we were designed to be as pure as these angels. In a perfected state, we were designed to actually be able to walk around this dimension with our Kundalini completely stimulated, constantly moving through our vertebra, our spinal system, enlightening every part of the glandular system and the cellular structure, the musculoskeletal system, cerebral cortex, brainstem, you name it. We were designed to be walking around with the schism of the left and right brain bridged, the sacred spade of the heart activated with the toroidal field around us, activating the Merkaba, the nimbus, the aura, you name it. We were designed to be walking around this dimension, moving around this dimension in that starship known as the Merkaba. And when the Merkaba is completely alive around you, it allows you to actually see your holy guardian angels that surround you. So we are designed to be as pure as these angels. And when you have a Kundalini awakening and you bear witness to the angelic kingdom, that doesn't always happen, but for many it does. When that happens, you now see, once the Kundalini wears off, the distance between you and that state of purity of the angels. I hope that makes sense. For me, my Kundalini awakening, my first full-blown Kundalini awakening in my early 20s showed me, it taught me, it awakened within me to show me what we were designed to be, what we were designed to experience within this human framework of consciousness and physiology, the physical flesh body, the corporeal body, the organism. And it taught me, okay, this is what you were designed to be, and this is what you are. and that drove me insane for so long, because it almost felt like a curse, because I was shown how separated I was from these pure states of consciousness. And then to go back in this realm which venerates heathenism. There's heathenism everywhere. I mean, this is the land of the bottom feeder, I like to call it. And man, so I don't recommend Kundalini for people who aren't interested in actually kind of, going through some hardship. Because real spirituality is not just some dollar menu item that you get instant gratification from. You don't just order it and you don't just get it, your little meal back in 2 minutes as you go through the drive-through. No, it takes work. And this journey has taken me on an emotional roller coaster. I've gone through hell and I've gone through heaven. I know what it's like. So, and yes, heaven consciousness is a very real thing. Heaven is a state of being within the physiology, within the consciousness. So, the glory of the heavenly realms can drive you insane. Because it's so beautiful, it's so scintillating. It's just like, I would call it like a diamond realm. Everything is so beautiful, and the amount of light in these dimensions, man, it's just holy shit. Holy fucking shit. So I make these videos to really let some steam off my chest. I don't care how people perceive them. It really does help me to let this stuff off my chest. Having a YouTube channel and just talking in front of this camera really has helped me let go of some internal rage, man. To bottle all this stuff up can drive you insane, and that's why really conscious people really do need to get out and walk barefoot on the earth and just find some type of medium to express their frustrations and their happiness, whether that be artwork or exercise or making videos. There's so many different forms of creativity that you can tap into to ground yourself while you're going through these experiences, or as you're coming off of these experiences. These experiences are like strong drugs. I don't mean to degrade the Kundalini and say that it's like a drug. No. I'm saying that when you experience these states of consciousness, it just uplifts you to such an extent, but our physiology is so malnourished and weakened that we can't harbor the heat of the Kundalini 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it comes alive within us, and then it has to discharge because we don't have the electrical capacity to handle the surges of electricity and all the heat and all the different energy that's moving through your meridians, etc. So the Kundalini moves through you, and then it stops. And you come back to your average state of consciousness where there's gas stations everywhere. We live in a dimension where telephone poles are erected next to trees, and there's just cars everywhere. I was on the freeway today just looking at the scurry of people. It's fucking embarrassing. to see what we were designed to be, and then to bear witness to this shit. Now, I'm not unhappy. No. I'm actually very grateful to be alive in this dimension, regardless of the fact that there's a lot of shit that needs to be fixed. But it doesn't mean I don't strive for more. It doesn't mean that my heart knows that there's more for the human experience, So, Kundalini will take you like a piggy bank and just shake all the pennies out of you and just empty all the shit out. It will just empty everything. And you'll have an open, clean vessel for once. And metaphorically, if all the bullshit in the programs were the pennies and the change inside of the piggy bank, Kundalini just shakes it all out and puts you back down empty. I don't mean empty like I don't mean empty in a bad way. I mean empty in a good way. So the Kundalini energy, the Ophidian energy of the serpentine Kundalini really does, it melts through all the dross. It melts through all of the bullshit. It completely empties the engram banks and all of the bullshit. So it is what it is. I'm here at the library today. I got some stuff I want to get done. Got some artwork I want to work on. One of my New Year's resolutions was to work on more artwork. Balancing mediums. I want to make a video about balancing mediums because I'll get into video making and it's like all I'll focus on. When I'm an artist, a musician, an athlete, there's multiple different things. So part of my journey is to learn how to balance mediums and to be okay with that, because I'll get into video making. I've been into video making now for over 3 years, and it's just like primarily all of my energy goes into this because I love it so much. It's my favorite form of artwork, and I do consider video making artwork. If you make certain videos can be considered art, certain forms of videos. There's videos on YouTube that are just absolute garbage. People getting millions of views for these stupid videos that have no significance spiritually, physically, just bullshit entertainment videos. It's amazing how much garbage gets viewed here in this dimension. And it's amazing how much artistic, creative, good quality stuff on YouTube doesn't get a lot of views. But that's the type of world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. So again, balancing mediums, that's an interesting concept, because it's one thing I've struggled with is like being interested in multiple different things at once. It's hard for me to like focus on my videos but be just as enthralled in my artwork, like my painting and my digital artwork and my drawings, But I'm working on that. It's getting better. I've made some really good money from my artwork, and man, oh man, oh man, there's a dude right here that just looked at me, a worker, and now he's taking a leak in the corner of this area. It is what it is. You got to go, you got to go. But, I struggle with money right now heavily. That's okay. I'm not complaining. I think there's beauty in struggling, but made some really, really good money with artwork in the past, selling $1,400 paintings, stuff like that. So I'm going to get back into it. And I'm not doing it for the money, but it is such a good feeling to sell artwork and to make money from artwork, because I don't feel like a bad person or that I've ripped someone off, like selling some bogus bottle of vitamins or this and that. So there's a lot of salesmen out here in this dimension who want to rip you off selling you their garbage. But what type of artwork are you guys into? Are you guys artists? I notice a common theme amongst people who are very interested in Kundalini. Most of them are either artists. There's some form of artist, whether that be a musician, like people who do pottery, or gardening. Gardening to me is a form of artwork. It seems like people who are interested in Kundalini or who have had Kundalini experiences are heavily into artwork, because the Kundalini really does stimulate the creative faculties within the human experience, the consciousness. Artwork is such a great way to convey messages, and it's such a great way to